They really need to come in with a strong first couple of rounds. I feel like FaZe need a good foundation here. If they come in and they start losing those rounds, they're on attack. We expect the attackers to do well on Chalet. They come in, lose the first couple of rounds to an NiP side who just picked up a 20-round overtime game. That's going to be tough for FaZe Clan to take.
I'm a little bit nervous for FaZe here because look back at what happened on Villa a lot. NiP were the ones who played downstairs. They were playing off C4s, using vertical play. FaZe were the ones who were saying, direct to side, play on one plane, that will do it nice and easy for us. For NiP, it kind of bruised them a little bit, where when they were on the attack, they were the ones having to cover both floors and worry about droning absolutely everything out. More the kind of evasive side of things. Just keen to see if FaZe can make this work out for them, or if NiP can be key disruptors.
See? I told you. I told you that many rounds of overtime. I told you those many rounds of overtime. They're going to break you.
They're breaking up my voice. My brain's gone.
I told you. Now, speaking of breaking, it's not just us as casters, it's not just the audience who might be. I suspect you, audience, you're watching this, I suspect you're probably not tired out by it, but the players most certainly will be. Every single team that has played a grueling match that has gone deep into overtime says the same thing. It really takes a lot out of you. And some teams, and even some players who might not be the most experienced, they're going to suffer for it. Now, a whole team might not fall off, but all it takes on FaZe's side of things is Cyber or Souls to suddenly get fatigued after that matchup. All it takes on NiP's side of things is Pino or Julio to suddenly go quiet and be tired out after that matchup, and that could mean the whole ball game for them. That said, operator bans are in, and there's one of them that's particularly interesting.
And one that's also missing too. I mean, Legion's the spicy one. The one also coming in, you're looking towards like nades being a thing. The one that's missing that I'm really like, oh, this is a bit exciting, is the Valkyrie. That being online. We've seen teams get absolutely torn apart by the information being fed by a Valkyrie throughout, Tim. And I think that's why you saw the 6th pick being teased for a second by FaZe Clan and towards the IQ. Did step away from it and have now brought along the Iana instead. But I like at least there's some respect being given to the idea of a Valkyrie being brought along.
Absolutely, and you know, you're looking really at a direct choice of Legion being brought, or being taken out rather, instead of the Valkyrie being taken out. So obviously there is a particular importance for FaZe, maybe something they've spotted in the NiP defense that they wanted no part of. The Wama being taken away will make it easier to push into key locations.
Legion has a 12% pick rate, which is very low, very low. In fact, one of the lowest pick rates of all picked operators here right now. He's in the bottom 5 of most picked operators for this event. We got to see how Legion could be useful on Villa in the previous map. Maybe that's what's guiding FaZe forward. But a low pick operator with no previous history of being banned at this event, this is the first Legion ban, means that FaZe definitely knows something about that ban that is deliberately targeted towards NiP.
You touched on the key word there, I think, Parker. Targeted is the one I'm thinking of. It's taking it away from the side of NiP, who would have used it previously on this map, and they're very, very aware of that on the side of FaZe. To start out this round, though, we're seeing a good split attack coming in from FaZe. You've got a couple working their way inside a car garage, a couple working their way in through Snowmobile, but basically the theme to follow is that everyone's starting out in the basement and working their way upwards and trying to strike at those who live on the higher floors here inside of Chalet.
Cameraman's droning at the minute. He's on the Jackal, but will potentially have the shotgun secondary, so we'll be able to open up that big garage ceiling to allow pressure to be applied onto Solarium stairs. For the time being, he is going to move away from there, and we've seen Bullet rotate away, so it doesn't look like they're going to look to pressure onto Solarium immediately. But Julio inside of Piano, he is going to need to be dealt with. He's pushing his way into Library Corridor. He's just keeping himself mobile, moves these up Solarium stairs, moving into Master. The rotations are there, the opportunities are there for NiP, but it's going to be Cyber to open us up.
It's a great little pinch to start things out. That was what was missing. It felt an awful lot on Villa, is this team-based play. 2 on Library, 1 playing out on the east balcony, and they pinched the man trying to retreat his way back into the corridor. Psycho off the board. A 5 versus 4, make it a 5 versus 3 as Cameraman comes alive in the round, makes it 2 for the side of FaZe.
Remarkable stuff now on this entry from FaZe Clan, looking to pick up from where they left off at the start of Villa. NiP's map though, and they're not going to go quietly into the good night. Dez, not at all. Pino drops Cameraman, heads for the hills into Trophy. The Trophy in this case was the player from FaZe, but Kamikaze falters as Julio picks up one of his own. These teams trading back and forth. The advantage favoring FaZe at the moment. A minute to go. There's opportunity for these teams to pause should they want to.
problem is, Parker, they've got the site control. Pino was hoping the bullet was still trying to push it through the front door. He has no idea that he's found his way onto site. Souls doing what he does best, getting that diffuser down. And Julio got a retake to do, but Astro's up on the top floor. Clean and clinical for FaZe. And yes, they get hit on the flank for a brief moment, but it's not enough to shut the attack down. FaZe comfortably taking round 1.
The thing that NiP had going for them there, on the defense particularly, was the freedom of Pino and Julio. They were able to move around. They weren't really challenged. FaZe didn't do too much to cut them off. That could come back to bite them, but it wasn't a massive problem for them here. They managed to gain the space that they needed, particularly Bullet working his way up from basement and just assaulting straight into sight when there was a little bit of mid-round chaos was really well worked, as was the Solarium side push that came in from FaZe and Cameraman particularly to try and move those players up on the top floor. I don't know that NiP maybe committed enough to Master and Piano. It was sort of a half hold and they just got caught out in 1v1s when they were trying to move in and out of there.
This is also still an attacker-favored map. Let's not kid ourselves on this one, and we'll get it out of the way early as we tell you which side should, in theory, be doing better, but at the same time, Coastline, FaZe Clan, when they were on attack, shouldn't have done as well as they did. On Villa, once again, the attackers should not have done as well as they did, but they did it anyway, so you can't always look at the statistics as a guiding post moving forward, but in this case, Chalet still does tend to lean in favor of those attackers. Now, one thing that will work for the defense, as you mentioned it, Valkyrie is unbanned, so there is potential here for the defenders to have that ace in the hole. Not you.
5 seconds left before insertion.
I mean, I'm always worthwhile on a Valkyrie. I know some killer cams.
I think he missed the ace in a hole.
Oh, I did.
You're not in a hole. We can keep it wherever we want. Anywho, I think it's going to give the defense a fighting chance right now, and I absolutely agree with you. NiP didn't look like they were very well coordinated. We'll see what they can do on this defense.
Absolutely. You're going to see them going with the top floor setup, as we're so used to seeing when defending inside a kitchen and dining. Holding this top floor, it's very similar to how you would hold it if you were defending up on the top floor. Walls are all reinforced off, and likelihood for the attackers is they'll start inside a library, look to push their way across, get full control of the top floor, open up some verticals, and then look to push your way in through lobby. And sure enough, that's where FaZe is starting things out. They've got to worry about Muzi, who's currently hanging on the library stairs, and Psycho, who's also looking to join in for a little bit of trade-based play, if so required. But I'm just glad at the very least, Tim, to see some drone work coming in from FaZe here, making sure that they're going in carefully, not getting caught out or blindsided by a rat holding off somewhere. It's just good team play to start things off.
You can't necessarily quite see this at the minute, but one thing that has happened here as FaZe have pushed in, they do lose the opening man, but NiP have been forced really deep back on that top floor, that all the way back to Solarium at the minute. This Psycho is the highest line that they've got, and he's holding on half wall just inside of office. But NiP, they managed to get themselves the opener, and that is a big start for them. The Iana goes and some nades along with her, but the push continues. They've got control of mezzanine, they've got control over the main lobby. FaZe can start pressuring that top floor roam now. They have to.
The focus now needs to be on that main wall where Astro is running as fast as he humanly can get to. Now, the opening above means that impact tricking is very doable, or even a Nitro cell for good measure, but there's nobody from NiP in that particular area. Instead, they'll watch the opening that was created by FaZe. It's Pino to just stare intently quite at it. You know, that's a good gun in his hands, but he decides it's better if I'm not there. Cede control of that part of the map to FaZe Clan.
It's interesting how Psycho, I think, has made use of his C4 to open up the floor so he can challenge onto the downstairs. Forget about saving it for some vertical denial, because he's still holding up on the top floor. And FaZe have kind of tickled up this top floor. They've opened up the office wall with 6 ex-Kairos coming out, but haven't actually looked to take any kind of control. They've left them to be, as defenders, up on that top floor and are thinking about the side push in. 4 versus 4 into the final 40 seconds or so, and FaZe now starts to get stalled out by the smoke canisters.
Kamikaze taking a bit of damage as a grenade sails on in the Kona station, working to give Muzi some life, but it doesn't matter as the grenade lands in his lap, and the hot potato's a bit too hot for him to hold on to. FaZe now, after surrendering that opening pick, have found their swagger, and boy, it's working out quite well. Flash goes by, and Psycho now has a potential flank, but amidst all the noise and the cacophony, do they hear the bullets from the MPX rattle on out? Souls is in, as you said, doing what he does best, but he's in the midst of gas. No, you need to get out of there, Souls. You're gonna die, my friend. The team's tried out one apiece. Psycho and Julio, the last two. They know where Julio is, but the timer will work in favor of FaZe Clan. and they get the hell out of Dodge. 40 seconds left with FaZe holding on to this one-round advantage, looking to make it 2. From above, Psycho will govern over the diffuser, but it's Julio on the main floor to take the fight to those 3 players from FaZe. Still, time working in the favor of FaZe, but Psycho gets one. A Nitro cell goes out. All of a sudden, the impacts are working very effectively. Bullet on just a sliver of HP. Look at how little time is left. Can he stop Psycho in the process? He's on the diffuser. He's on the diffuser. You gotta go. He's on the diffuser. You're not gonna get there. What a comeback from NiP. That's a mood booster, and they tie the game at 1 round apiece.
A 2v3 swing back, absolutely huge for them. And I thought we'd see Psycho on the Valkyrie looking to jump, for example, over the office wall, look for a flank, but maybe that suggests why that wall stayed as it was. Just a single X-Kairos hole on there to give them the idea that someone could come peeking in, but to come back and win that 2v3 with that C4, massive Tim.
It was a big play, but NiP, as you always say, Des, they can't rely on hero plays like that. They can't rely on having to have those retakes. There was a bit of a problem for them in that FaZe just ignored that top 4 play. They just went down, got the main wall, decided we're going into site. We don't care about the 3 players that NiP have got upstairs. I think NiP maybe could have been a little bit more aggressive at that point. I understand that FaZe have flank watchers in place, but I think maybe a challenge onto them. Try to wrap around FaZe, try to get a presence in mezzanine, push over the top of them, make it difficult for them to play in there. Somehow, they didn't do anything really to affect that plan. Souls got a little bit lucky, ran into his own smoke and realised that it was actually mingling with the toxic smoke, and he took a lungful of that stuff, an absolute ton of damage. But for me, FaZe played it nicely to try and get the diffuser down there. You know, there is always that option where you've got a heavy top floor presence, a heavy off-site presence to just say, we're not going to play into that. We don't need the verticals. You keep them.
Speaking of verticals, Bar and Gaming we're stepping back into. We saw how this played out last time round. FaZe Clan getting control of the site in rapid fashion. Into lobby, into site. And NiP barely aware that they got in control of Bar and Gaming at that time. I imagine here you're not going to see it slip away so quickly, especially given that we've got the Valkyrie on side. NiP should be at least a little more in the know as to what is coming, but I've got to watch out for that Jackal on the other side, Parker.
Absolutely, Derry.
Derry?
Derry. Bar Gaming defense, by the way. I'm sorry, you're gonna have to get some adjustments in here with my pronunciation. I apologize, but
Derry?
I'd like to see exactly what's going on with NiP above in library right now, because Chimney is often such a crucial component of this bomb site, and there you go. Psycho will be the one holding off while Julio is not too far away on those trophy stairs. Now, or sorry, on those library stairs. At this point, you want to keep your back to that single panel, and Psycho will just solely be playing off of what Oryx as an operator is. I don't know if he's the best operator. Other than that, he manages to get away, and the Nitro Cell's botched by Kamikaze. These are some small misses from NiP that could be bigger later on.
It was a beautiful back away, you know, vaulting over as well. It's always a risk that you'll get sprayed down from lobby door, but no one was there. Again, it was the East Balcony contest. I believe there was someone playing on the library hallway window too, waiting for him to make his move, but he gets away alive and finds the opener. A massive start coming out for Psycho as he finds Bullet.
Exactly what FaZe Clan did not need there. Losing that sledge, going to lose utility along with him, and it gives NiP the advantage here on defense. And NiP on defense are a side that once they start getting those opening kills, they're just going to drop back. They're going to fall back room by room, and they're not going to allow you to put them under too much pressure. They're going to wait then, burn out the time, and try to fight in those late angles. Cyber, he's trying to get something going for FaZe here. Pushing into main, he knows that there's somebody playing inside of dining, but he's not going to spot the head of Pino, who is an absolute fraction underneath. Souls, however, does get a kill onto Psycho. Levels us up, 4 versus 4, 50 seconds left to go.
Still so much work to be done in the round, mind you. We are in that 45-second mark where they're not exactly starved for time, but you know the pressure starts to build from this point on. A man undroned inside, well, not really undroned. It's more for the defenders not being aware that he got in so deep once again. FaZe Clan in a wonderful position. A 4 versus 3, but Kamikaze catches out the drop. They've got the drones coming in, they know what's going on with the yellow pings as well. A 3 versus 2, FaZe can win it out. Cyber and Camera doing up at the very end to get another round on board for FaZe Clan.
Wow, so they get that very first pick on behalf of Ninjas in Pyjamas. Psycho playing up top, able to hold on to that top floor control along with Julio, denying FaZe entry and picking one off before Psycho gets downstairs, and then just simply exists. He finds himself in the middle of the bomb site. You've got two wild cards. You've got the Valkyrie playing inside a kitchen, and you also had the roam going on down below of, if I remember correctly, it was Pino. Now, in this particular instance, if you're FaZe Clan, you have control of that top floor. NiP got it, failed, or rather peeled off immediately and set Julio down to play near the basement as well. So FaZe can walk in and take top floor control, but they're outnumbered, and they always have to keep somebody on flank watch because of the way that NiP plays this bomb site. So they realize at that point, maybe we'll just hit the site. There's only two of them playing inside of it. Let's take control of the site and fight for them when they come back to the bomb site. Didn't work out all that effectively, and they lost all of their gunfights along the way.
NiP seemed to have more of a sort of clear idea of where they wanted to play that defensively. They had, as you say, Psycho starting mezzanine, they had Julio library stairs. They pretty much gave up on the piano side of things, which was what cost them last time around. They decided they didn't want anything to do with it, but they were just forced out of there so quickly by FaZe. They couldn't hold on to it. They didn't really even try. They just Psycho over the balcony, Julio down the stairs, and they just invited too much pressure onto themselves ultimately, I think.
Cool little setup coming in here as well, where they've got one mirror window facing off down the library hallway, but also the one downstairs looking into dining. That one's more to deny anyone getting easy control inside of there and start threatening office from below. Should enable the defenders to play in there for a larger amount of time. And I do want to touch on quickly the actual wall setup itself inside of the half-wall area in office. That one's now looking in a spot where they've left the left-hand side free. We're normally used to seeing teams reinforce that and leaving the right one free. But the mirror window just puts them in a great spot to be able to swing on comfortably, if so desired. It ain't going to stop Muzi elsewhere from getting a swing in onto Astro. Bright and early once again. He strikes on the roam, and now FaZe have got some work to do to shut him down.
This Oryx pick we've seen on Chalet a number of times, and I don't ever think it's lived quite up to the billing. The idea being that you can move quickly around the map, you can flank effectively, you've got a good gun in the T5, and you can also hop up those hatches as quickly as possible.
I've seen it used successfully twice in reality, and I think what you're saying is absolutely right, Parker. We don't see, yes, there are other uses there. It means that maybe you don't need to bring a shotgun because he can do your sight rotates for you. There are other elements that come into that Oryx pick, but using that actual ability to get kills is not something that we see very often at all. Soul's going to get himself a nice kill there as we move into the mid-round here. Cyber just backing him up as well. Headshot onto Muzi. It's all going in FaZe's direction, which we would expect on the attack.
Just a little bit. I mean, this is so early in the round, don't forget as well. We're only about 80 seconds in, and what the hell? There's a breaching charge kill coming in? We've had exothermic kill yesterday, breaching charge kill today. What's next?
I mean, who knows? There's a lot of things that we could look at. An ex-Kairos kill, I think, is probably the next one up.
Sledgehammer?
Selma?
A sledge kill? Selma? Does the Selma even do any damage?
I've never seen a Selma kill.
Julia was the only player, by the way, to go down, or rather, Julia was picked off really early on in that one after they got that initial trade as Psycho got the very first pick. And again, I don't know how effective Oryx can be in the long run. I'm glad that we're starting to see some mileage out of the Oryx in particular to be able to make those rotates and get around. But, I mean, look at that. You don't need to be Oryx to accomplish that kill. Sightlines that are opened up do allow you a little bit longer or a little bit less time on the setup in total for Oryx to be able to, smash open walls, as you talked about.
Oh, dear.
Some teams with site setup can take into the 30 seconds of live action, and teams can exploit that, absolutely. So FaZe Clan, though, have answered almost all of these defenses from NiP really effectively, and they're doing it without bringing a ton of hard breach at their disposal as well. In this lineup, we're going to see both Ace and a Maverick come out, but a lot of teams will bundle up with that Hibana Thermite choice. Both these operators are available, all four hard breachers available.
Non-banned away indeed in the round at least. And finally what we are going to see get brought along to deal with what has felt like a bit of torment coming out with the mirror in a couple of instances is the Twitch. Cyber stepping across onto that. There is no mirror window to deal with in this round, but we've seen the damage that so many players can do, just tearing through a site on those shock drones, looking out for the Black Eyes, looking out of course for those salvation stations as we call them, the Kona stations, being brought along by the Thunderbird. You remove those and you remove a lot of opportunity for the defenders to dig in and get themselves healed up as the round progresses. and we know just how valuable they could be. Think back again to SSG's 1v5 clutch when it came down to a Kona Station heal to ensure the round was won out.
One of the closest that we've ever seen, I think, realistically. Yeah. It's, you know, like you say, that extra health being essential in that situation. Now, let's see if NiP can just stop FaZe bullying them on the defense here. You know, we've seen NiP trying to hold on to areas, FaZe able to move them around the map very, very quickly. And it continues, Des, as Julio is going to be chased away from that bathroom location this time, taking half of his health with him. Better outcome for NiP is that they've not lost the man early, but still not lost the man early. He's going to be put down, but not out.
Julio will bleed out, by the way, over inside of Solarium and get picked right back up. FaZe's entry has been so formidable, and with the way that this kitchen defense is set up, you're going to look to see teams on defense hang on above to office and bedroom, but they're just unable to do it right now. Another opening pick for FaZe. They answer back. Musi does take down Souls, and that's the Maverick down, but maybe the guns are starting to hit their marks here, gentlemen.
I mean, it's just exploding all across the map. There was pressure coming in from the south, pressure from the north, but NiP, the ones who were coming out on top. Cameraman, well, in the video they had, the Super Focus, he declared himself to be the most passionate, the most hot-headed, the one who loves the competition the most. And here he's got one hell of a competition, a 1 versus 2 to win against Julio and Pino. Both took back on site. We'll have a little bit of help from a ping, but Julio finds a sweet angle through onto him, and NiP get another on the board.
For a second there, I was really liking what Cameraman was trying. He got the smoke canister out there, opened up the wall, tried to use his gadget to give him some sort of edge in the 1v2, get the scan of the footprint, but he just left himself exposed to the line of sight from Julio. The smoke canister going a little bit too deep, I think, there, and he was able to get spotted onto. But it just shows a real thinking Siege player there. Rather than, yeah, I'm just going to push in and see if I can swing somebody here. It was, how can I use all the tools at my disposal to try and get some sort of edge? And that just sums Cameraman up for me.
No, I mean, and they were so hard. It's really challenging to break down what happened in that previous round because almost all of the action came within the same span of 15 seconds and almost all of it was well off site. And I think what happened was FaZe got that initial pick onto Julio and they knew that they had got the down and they wanted the confirmation. So they said, all right, well, while Julio is getting distracted either on his own or somebody from NiP is there to help him, that's a 5v3. Let's get into the site. So you throw out your utility. You open up the wall in the kitchen. You throw out your smokes, but you're immediately rebuffed because NiP are not a team that is going to tunnel vision and focus entirely on a single objective. They're going to understand where your execute is coming from. Teams, when they attack this kitchen bomb site, are going to want to go through that lobby wall. That is going to be your big prize on attack. FaZe opened it up, they ran in, they got gunned down, and they never got control of that part of the map. They never had site control and allowed NiP to stay there and then pivot towards the remaining players who were coming from the back of the map over by Trophy.
Round number 6 about to get underway then. NiP will take their final defense down in the basement. It's going to be Snowmobile and Wine Cellar. Can be a difficult defense here because of the multiple avenues of attack that you can face, but, you know, let's be honest, it hasn't been the easiest of defenses for NiP anywhere on this map. They're going to be immediately pressured by FaZe once again, getting up and getting aggressive onto the map. Astro is challenging onto Psycho in Library at the minute, and FaZe just getting right up to every barricade that they can.
As they damn well should be as well. I mean, it looks like Library's part of the focus. Cameraman's also rotating down to join them. So they do want to start on this southwest side and start pushing their way through. By the looks of it, one at least up on the roof will be watching out towards the bathroom window as well. So you can see what the starting plan is here for FaZe. Where it is, they want their push to come in. And there's Jack. Oh, good night. Psycho on the drive-by into Cameraman just as the Jackal track kicks in. Will find himself shut out the round and no more part to play.
Bullet now just working on getting the intel that FaZe might need. The drone going inside of Bar Gaming, just trying to locate where NiP are holding on this mid floor. The FaZe are definitely not confident here, and rightly so, because Julio is still up there. There are still NiP players to be cleared out.
Down below, waiting in the bomb site. I'm surprised to see this come out for the final defense of NiP, but hey, I mean, why not go for it? There's no Thatcher in play, so you're going to have some advantages with the Kaid still up, though I don't know if NiP is really struggling too much with this all-out offensive brawl. It's the halfway point of the round, and it looks like the first bit of action that might come now in the second part of the round.
This makes me nervous, and I've got like Souls poking his head out of mud here, and I'm just like, the drone, buddy. What about choosing a drone instead of charging your way directly through? But that's exactly what he's going for here. They've got that control of Bar and Gaming, and I imagine want this main stairs control as an angle to come pushing in. That's exactly where Snolls is fishing around now. But you know, if he dies here in a weird position, that's diffuser down, and the round can be ended from there, bearing in mind there are only about 60 seconds to play. He's got himself on the lobby stairs. Cyber hanging just above, and if he can hit NiP on the flank here, oh my god, he could do some damage.
Dino just lurking on the stairs, shotgun in hand, but Bullet knows. Down goes the nade, it will not connect, but there's plenty of connections going on around the map here. Souls managing to find himself one onto Kamikaze. FaZe getting themselves an advantage once again, but he's seriously low health in doing so. He's going to be challenged by Psycho and shut down, and that's the diffuser dropped on the main stairs. 3 versus 3 now as FaZe. They've got work to do. They've got to recover that briefcase. They've got to get a little bit more site control here. Pino maybe a little bit overly aggressive there, just exposing himself and taking damage on those blue stairs. Can he win out this fight with the shotgun? No! The earlier damage taking its toll. Bullet able to shoot him down. Astro has got down to the bottom of main stairs, got that case in hand, but the time is ticking away. The kills come in for FaZe, and they are able to win that out somehow.
This is one of the main problems with this bomb site, is once you lose control of the peripheral areas, you have nowhere to go. Now, with about a minute to go in the round, both Cyber and Astro were still upstairs. Astro was on the second floor, droning and watching an angle through the floor. Cyber was posted up watching the hatch inside of main lobby. They were there to cut off any potential rotates that would come out from NiP when that diffuser goes down in a relatively default spot at the bottom of the main stairs. But NiP were prepared for that, and they had the opening into Wine created so they could see all the way down. That's why the diffuser needed to be retrieved. So what does FaZe do? Well, those two players who are off-site, both Cyber and Astro, they swap towards the main lobby, and then Bullet gets dispatched as a flank because FaZe had the advantage for the half of that round. Ultimately, there was nowhere to go for NiP. They were just simply waiting, and there's 4 angles for them to cover, and if you pick the 2 wrong angles, that's it. You lose the gunfight, and you'll lose the round.
I think Psycho's qualifying himself for a doctorate in mathematics with that shot. Sees the angles as well coming in from the roof of the bullet, sees the trail and goes, okay, quick second calculation. Where will his head be? Swings onto the next window. It connects immediately onto the Jackal. Brilliant first kill to start things out, but I was very nervous for FaZe that they would find themselves running that clock down to 0 with no way through to a round end. However, they do get there. A 4-2 half, not too bad at all, Tim, but NiP now get to swing onto the attacking side. We saw FaZe yesterday on this map against Damwon Kia. They didn't look convincing the whole way through. After what happened on the last map, I wouldn't be massively surprised if NiP can fight their way back in.
We really need to see a big first attacking round from NiP if they're going to do that, Des. They've got to come in here and send a message that, yes, you may be 4-2 up, but it is all based on the fact that you started things out on attack. It's going to be Kitchen that NiP need to work their way into, and they are immediately looking towards Solarium and Trophy. They want to get that north side of the map locked down. It looks like there might be a bit of attention going to be paid into Big Garage as well to look for those vertical angles that we often see. Julio on the 0, goes in, loses his drone. He will have SAM cams available as well to try and back up that information. Kamikaze spotting out the man on Solarium stairs, and NiP seem to have built themselves very quickly a very solid picture of what this defense is.
That's exactly it, yeah. They've also got the 0 on side without the hard breaching gadgets, which is mainly when we've seen him being brought along this tournament. Most operators, well, all of them that have the secondary hard breach gadget now have 2 rather than the 1, but I haven't really seen it being brought along here. It's being instead the Claymore.
I'm amazed that Muzi's been able to get in this deep, by the way. Right now in the middle of the bomb site, you saw both Bullet and Cyber in position to greet the Finka when she got in. That's exactly where these 2 players from FaZe are stacked up, over by Trophy in Solarium. And because Muzi's been here, he's going to remain that thorn in the side of FaZe until he gets taken out.
That's it, he's just going to maintain that top floor control, and in time he will allow other NiP members to get themselves established in there, and they can start working down towards that kitchen site and just applying the pressure as time goes on. Muzi goes in and clears out part of that top floor roam, but an immediate trade from Cyber leaves us in a 4 versus 4, and that's just an inability from NiP to deal with those Solarium stairs.
Oh, surely here you're not going to try and take this fight. Does try and take it, and Cyber's the one who walks away the loser. Psycho, patience pays off. Cameraman waiting for him to go for this vault in here. If he steps in for it, chances are he's as dead as a dodo. Doesn't yet quite know that he's being watched off towards the side. Pino is now in on the top floor, so where one man fell, another steps in to replace him. And given it's now the Sledge in position, I was going to say they can start getting the verticals opened up, but then you remember C4s exist.
3 versus 2 now. Psycho looking to double down on that kill and find himself some more if he can. There's going to be Astro going down, and I'm not sure if it was Psycho again who took the shots there, but it's the long-range angles that are being held by NiP, and they managed to close out that first round. It was important for them to bring that back in to a 3 versus 4 on the scoreboard. They couldn't be slipping further behind, and they've shown that they are more than capable on the attack here to fight back on Chalet.
Well, Musi being able to get in over by Bathroom was huge for Ninjas in Pyjamas. The 2 players that we saw from FaZe posted up in the back over by Trophy. All you need to do is take care of them, and then you can begin to move through Trophy. You can control West Main, and the remainder of your team can either focus on, as we talked about before, how pivotal Lobby can be looking at the double panel walls, or they can just hold from above and allow you to try to do a take from the back, though those are exceedingly rare. And because they had the angles above, after they had cleared out Cyber from that position and Bullet earlier on, it allowed NiP to just sit up top, and anybody who was playing down in Kitchen would be punished for it. Instead of opting to go through the main lobby, that's where their focus went. It forced the remaining players from NiP back into Dining. They had nowhere to go. They essentially had to retake their own bomb site, and it left one player off site as well, which was the Jaeger, who got killed in the very final moment, because realistically, NiP hasn't opened anything up for you. You certainly can't open anything up. What exactly are you to do?
Did wonder if we were going to see this electrification come out at some point, and it has now finally been employed, where you chuck the electroclaw inside the box or the table, up inside of Dining, and it electrifies the double wall on the downstairs. We saw this come out yesterday and did ask the question of, has anyone spotted it out? I think we just saw at the end there, Julio, who stepped onto the DKB on the drone through the drone hole, acknowledged that the side of that table had been battered in. That's a good few $100 worth of damage done, and now he knows there's an electroclaw in there. They can step in quite clearly, clear it out very comfortably, especially when you consider that Psycho's got these shock drones. Shouldn't be any hassle for them.
It shouldn't be, but it's not just about the recognition. As you quite rightly pick up on there at the end of what you were saying, Des, it's about the clearing of it. And if FaZe on the defense can try and hold down a little bit of pressure on that area, then it might not be quite so straightforward for them. But for the time being, NiP doing a pretty good job of forcing FaZe away from the key locations on this top floor.
Once again, you mentioned it, the top floor being the big focus here. Another bar gaming bomb site is down below, or rather garage, it means down below. That's where their focus has to go. They have to be able to clear out that top floor quickly, and they've already done that. Cyber's now fallen by the wayside. He's an extraordinarily good player, but additionally, if Cyber wants to play aggressively up top, hold that map control, and then maybe go for a late flank, or even get called back to the bomb site later on, then FaZe are effectively doomed. The same thing that I said applies back in round number 6. Once you start to lose map control on this bottom floor bomb site, you effectively have to swing. That's it. You have no other way to get out because that bomb site gets very claustrophobic. Psycho
is having a field day with the F2 so far, thoroughly enjoying his time with that weapon in hand. He's found himself a couple of kills, of course, in the previous one we saw him pick up 2. In this round, already the opening onto Cyber. Cameraman, patient as a saint, tucked his way in, playing a great game of hide and seek. He eventually turns out to be the winner. Musi, the first one to fall, 4 versus 4, with 1 minute 15 seconds still to play.
Perfect fight back from FaZe there. Cameraman able to just halt the progress of that top floor clearance once again. And it's worth reminding you that here NiP are attacking onto the basement. FaZe's aggression in this defense is impressive. The way they're holding all the way up onto the top floor. 2 minutes have been wasted here. And only at this point in time have NiP been able to even consider going down towards the sides.
Yeah, things are very grim for NiP here. Utility isn't exactly in their forte. If they can get this Electroclaw, that's huge. and they aren't successful, it looks like.
It's
No.
obsessed. They can't get it.
It's on that dining room table. So they are, in essence, they are going to be walking right in. Now, there's still an opportunity to win their 50-50 gunfights, but they have to take these engagements quickly with only 30 seconds to go.
And that point, yep, absolutely 25 on the clock, and 3 members still to take down on the side of FaZe, but having to force their way in through a single doorway is never a pretty outcome. Between the 3 members, FaZe, 2 of them playing inside of blue, 1 sat down inside a connector. They can take the challenge onto blue here. If they win that one, it's massive, but Pino, they even know he's here. He's run right past him. Where on earth is he looking in this one? Pino's in and has no idea what just happened. A C4 coming out, Psycho hitting the triple, making a quad. Gets the round, but I have no idea what happened there. All I heard was clown music in my ears.
Astro, are you good, dude?
I mean, Parker said it, 20 rounds takes it out of a man.
It really does. The Malusi just absolutely screaming into sight from blue there. Past everybody, even when being shot.
It's even worse that he misses the shots to him as well.
I was not kidding. I was not kidding when I said that it really does take a lot out of you. You talk to the players from Empire, you talk to those same players from G2, and they will tell you time and time again that there is so much fatigue that goes on. And I'm sure they're going to show the replay here, but you do get tunnel vision. You do. If you're getting a specific call and you're fighting for your life and you want to run out of a certain part of the map and you know that you only have a couple seconds left, it's very easy. Oh, here's why. He was blind. There you go. So he was blind. So that answer...
I mean, I forgive him. I don't know so much to forgive the players from NiP that were stood there watching him run around in front of him. That was the thing that really got me the
Maybe
most.
they were flashed too.
They definitely were. We had it on our screen, Tim.
I'm being positive. Everybody was flashed. Everybody gets a flash.
Don't think I really want to get flashed, to be honest, Parker.
No.
Not least by you.
No, absolutely not. Tie game, by the way. A lot of that, once again, just defined by utility play that fell short for NiP, and they took engagements after that, right? They weren't able to clear out the electric lot, no problem. Their soft destruction only worked on hatches. They weren't effective with those grenades either. They were able to clear out some Surya gates. That was really about it. Instead, they realized that, like we said, that bomb site on this map gets very claustrophobic. You trap 2 players from FaZe down in blue. There's only 2 ways out once you're down there, unless you go up to the middle floor, and there was no way for FaZe to do that.
I am slightly nervous, though. NiP have now taken 2 attacking rounds. Bearing in mind, again, it was 4-2 to FaZe at the half, and oh, look at what we were talking about earlier on. The Valkyrie cameras outside have seen the rappel coming inside a library. They know what's going on, but here's those shock drones maximizing their value and doing all the work that is required for them. Getting rid of the ADSs that are stacked inside, for example, making life a little bit easier for these grenades to sink through and hit their intended target. Bullet was part of the plan, vaults himself away, but again, we saw this earlier on. I believe it was Psycho who was playing on mezzanine before. The man that's meant to be on the lobby door was not present, and he's not taken out once he vaults over, getting away once again for free.
NiP just looking to pressure Library at minute as much as they can, but still only just getting themselves established inside of there. Pino starting to open up those vertical angles, and now you need to see a little bit of speed building up from NiP. It's taken you a minute and a half nearly to get inside of the map. Now you need to start taking advantage of it. There goes the black eye camera. That was the next thing I was going to say that needed to happen. Need to make sure that that utility is dealt with, but there's still 2 men from FaZe on the top floor.
I was just going to point that out. You've got both Cyber as well as the and Camera up top who can potentially come in for a late flank. You have to dislodge the sledge from the spot over by Chimney. But there's been a call made from NiP that they know that they're coming from this particular area. If the sledge can stay up there and do untold damage, then you're going to find yourself in very bad shape.
Really good response coming out here. We saw FaZe do this same move against Monkey yesterday, impacting open the office wall, and they try as they might. It's a total shutdown by NiP. They've seen this one, they've studied, they've got the strap book ready, and they know what's coming at them. Souls left in a 1 versus 5 clutch. It's simply not going to happen. NiP moves.
One of the highest play rates of all the maps that we've seen thus far. In fact,
major, right?
It has the highest play rate of any map at the current moment. And it's a little bit attacker favored, so that'll obviously factor in as well. But during the group stages, Ninjas in Pyjamas ended up playing Bank 3 times, and they won every single time. So that obviously bodes well for them going up against FaZe on FaZe's map.
not boding well for FaZe at this point in time, but let's not doom them to a loss just yet. There is a lot of siege to be played. They are only one round down here on Chalet, but for my money now, a successful defense here is going to be essential. They have to get this one locked down.
Do they learn from last time?
Do they go and clear the electrical?
Do they go and clear it? Julio saw it. He knew that had been smashed out, and he's seen this before. He knows what that electrical looks like.
I think at this point, everybody should be aware of that dining table.
It didn't stop them getting 2 players inside of sight regardless. They just walked in through the front door without taking their shoes off, and suddenly FaZe are like, oh, we'll run around and just hope for the best. And unfortunately, the best wouldn't do. Let's see if it works out any better in this round.
Well, I mean, if you're FaZe, you got to throw things at the wall and see what sticks. Realistically, they've tried everything. They've tried playing really conservatively in and around the bomb site. They've tried roaming, and they seem to get beaten by NiP every single time. Now, this is a bottom floor bomb site yet again, and NiP are going to just poke a couple holes in the defense onto that wall by the garage, take out the mute jammers that rest behind it, and as you said, are they going to learn from the Electric Claw on that main floor? That will be the big question mark.
As it sets up, you're seeing these cameras once again scattered off on the outside from the Valkyrie. The early down but not out, coming in onto Julio, caught out by the C4. Oh, Astro led into the bait like anyone's business, jumps straight into the mousetrap, finds himself taken out, and Pino was always there to cover for his buddy.
Not looking good so far for the side of FaZe. Muzi just dumping the nade in there to try and clear out some of that piano utility. Cyber with a token shot towards the trophy window, but Julio just outside of there is going to get himself picked back up and onto 20 HP, and it just feels like now that NiP are just aware of everywhere that FaZe are running. There's shots chasing them. They are under pressure.
Cameraman and Cyber are still working together on this roam like we saw in the previous attempt here. The big difference is now they're on that main floor instead of the top, so NiP have gained a ton of map control, and they might actually get the pickup now onto Cyber as well, as down goes the Valkyrie and a secure with the grenade seems certain.
All too easy to send that one careering through into the kitchen and cooking up a bit of a storm. FaZe now forced down towards the south side of the map. You've got Cameraman lurking up inside a lobby. Bullet looking to give some support off towards the library side of things, and Soul still playing on site. There is 60 seconds to play with, so NiP have got time. And I know that Chalet has been a pretty quick map so far, but we know how NiP can suffer to the clock the longer these rounds run.
Yes, we certainly do. It's something they need to be aware of, but there's 50 seconds left.
It's still
They're
close.
already starting to approach site. They're nading out, but they still haven't got the Electric Claw that's upstairs in dining. Please, NiP, put us out of our misery and go and clear that gadgetry out. But 35 seconds left to go. They're going to have to try and push in through this single door, potentially opening up lines of sight. Toxic Babe canisters coming out, but all the lines of sight are doing is allowing FaZe to be aggressive onto them. 20 seconds left to go. It's now or never. NiP Kamikaze just dips himself outside a trench. He's got diffuser in hand. It's now as NiP rush in. Psycho Muzi, that's 2 kills, 5v1. And there comes the final kill. I was just about to say you need to get that diffuser in there, but no, they take the round anyway as FaZe scramble for safety and just cannot find any anywhere.
And yet again, I mean, you don't really need a ton of utility work on that bomb site. The same thing happens as the previous round, except NiP are much faster. You saw that wine cellar wall being opened up with 30 seconds to go, just a little bit under. The Maverick had cut some holes through the wall because they didn't want to have to deal with the Electric Claw. I know you said that Julio saw it, by the way, but did he? That's the question.
I mean, the man was stood in the same room. Is it Psycho?
But it certainly doesn't look like it. They had that main floor map control for so long. Muzi could have pivoted at some point and gotten it before then if they really wanted to, but no, there were a lot of things that could have gone.
I refuse to believe that the world champions do not know about that Electro Claw. Twice they have naded the wall, twice the Electro Claw has stayed in place, and surely you start asking, that's really weird. Why is it destroying the gadget that would normally always be destroyed by that? Oh, it must be somewhere else. Where else could it be? Oh, in that table upstairs. Again, I swear Julio saw it back in round 1. He had a drone sat in the drone hole and saw the work being done, yet not once did they move to clear it. And, you know, fair play to FaZe, they've tried to use it twice, and even more fair play to NiP. They have still won, despite coming up against what most teams would be a brick wall, no way through, yet somehow they make it work. They are at match point. Chalet as it stands, doesn't look to be going to overtime.
I mean, ultimately, it may well be that NiP just don't have too much of a concern about actually clearing the electrification. They've got the Maverick there. They opened up a line of sight that they needed. It may well be that they're just sort of happy to play on without it. It's not ideal.
That to me looked like it was in panic because Pino almost died through the reverse angle as well. They weren't aware of who was on the other side and when, what was going to happen.
No, they might not have had intel on the actual bomb site, but on that first attempt at the bottom floor, they didn't have the Maverick to do that. They just ran right in. Second time, they managed to fix those issues, and they resolved it quite beautifully with plenty of time to go.
I'm telling you, they knew it was there. Oh, sorry, they didn't know it was there. They didn't deal with it, and they should have. If they knew it was there, they would have killed it. I'm molding about it. I'm asking them later. I'm in the DMs. I'm like, boys, did you know about the electrochlorine dining? I'm dead keen to find out.
Cameraman on the roam with the Valkyrie, just taking drones out. A lot of utility still remaining for him. We see at least 2 of those black eye cameras feeding information into him. It's actually going to be Cyber, I think, who was on the cams for the time being, feeding it back. And cameraman jumps on there himself as well to just get a look and understand exactly what is going on where. Now then, we've got quite a top floor hold from FaZe here once again. It is a kitchen site, so it's the mid floor. NiP need to get themselves in and get that top floor cleared out, but it's something that they've done very well so far.
Absolutely they are, and now they're going to focus on office. We talk about top floor control quite regularly. On a map like Chalet, it's no stranger to anybody that you clear from that top down. And you might send somebody in on the bottom floor, but this doesn't seem to be the focus right now. This is desperate times for FaZe Clan as we're 90 seconds into this round, and already that wall is getting opened up. This could lead to a very quick execute, especially if NiP knows exactly what they want to do with the bomb site. It becomes very important that the Smoke of Souls is able to greet this and respond accordingly.
This pace coming in is breakneck coming out of NiP, essentially. They're already inside of the site and looking to step in. Moves with the side angle, but they have stopped short of going hyper-aggressive, but a good nade kill comes in. Cameraman goes for the swing. Kamikaze finds another. Souls is about to get swamped. He's about to get cooked up for dinner. 2 of them pushing it, make it a third as Moosey finds his double in the round. 2 left standing, but no one is present on site, and this should be an easy plan coming in for Kamikaze. Bullet and Cyber have got some magic to work. That plant is going to get stuck though, Tim, and I can't see how they can win a 2 versus 4.
It's not going to be easy from here. Cyber, Bullet, you've got to get something going, and they almost do, but Pino hits them with the vertical nade, and that leaves Cyber now in a 1 versus 4. Kamikaze sat currently on top of that diffuser. It is not going to be easy to dislodge him. Cyber just working his way back through Piano. He's focused on these vertical angles, but nobody's really exposed. Pino sees the movement above him. The pixel changes color, and he hits his shots.
Really remarkable stuff from Ninjas in Pyjamas. They're exceedingly comfortable on their map choice, and they don't need us to go to overtime. No, they take care of it through a lot of brawl.